about how to set up a real BDC department. You're going to hear me go back and forth between BDC, Internet Department, BDC. I literally have set up over 600 BDCs, including the people that I trained that work for me, specifically on Ford Motor Company BDC project back in 2004. It took us 3 years, by the way, to set up those 600 BDCs. I've seen them fail. I've seen them succeed. I've seen them succeed okay. I've seen them, hit the moon and the stars in terms of returns to the dealership. So I've got a pretty good perspective on what makes them work, what makes them fail, what makes them average, what makes them superior, what makes them underperformers, what makes them top performers. And so today, what I'm going to go through is something very near and dear to my heart. In 2005, I was approached, and I did not seek this out, I was approached by a GM dealer who said, "We want to become the #1 GM dealer in the world. And Ralph, we think you're the guy to help us get there." And I'll never forget the first time I went to see these guys in Phoenix. I had an office at American Honda in Torrance, California. I was living with my wife, Dr. Elizabeth Archuleta, over there with the funky looking glasses. We were living in Albuquerque in those days, and it was beautiful. So I stopped in Phoenix on a changeover. I organized my flights. And when I pulled up to Kersey Chevrolet in the cab, I said to myself, I will never work in this dump. The store had been built in 1955 and hadn't been remodeled at that time. Today it's a brand new facility, but at that time it hadn't been remodeled. And I put out of politeness, out of courtesy to these 3 guys. You got Bill Grewell here, his son Mark Grewell, and his other son Scott Grewell. These 3 dealers, dealer family, 3rd generation grandmother owned the store. Out of respect for them, I said, well, I'll go in and I'll talk to them. Well, that led to about a 3-month discussion. And my wife was my witness. One Saturday, I get an email from Scott Grewell, and I had said no to him every week for 3 months. And I called him up, I said, my first piece of advice is never pay this much money to anybody to do the job you're asking me to do. Are you out of your mind? And he said, no. I said, well, I can't say no, you're throwing too much money at me. So I went to work. I was fully committed. I knew I was going to be there for 1 year. I gave him a 1-year commitment. The deal was I'd be in and out in 1 year. I ended up staying for 2 years because we had so much fun I couldn't leave. When I left, I went to work for ADP Dealer Services, which was great. Great company to work for. But I always like to open up out of respect for these guys because I spent, now we made a lot of money. We sold a lot of cars. But I also watched them invest about $500,000 into the stuff I wanted to do. So I always like to show respect for the confidence they felt with me. So what do we do? Well, when I got there, and I'm going to show you on a chart in the next slide or so, when I got there, they actually had a pretty successful internet department. And they actually had a little BDC. It was actually, they took a storage room. It was very long, and you could put like 4 desks in a row. Because it was like a long closet.